And here we go. Right before Labor Day weekend, the judge in the Tom Brady case against the NFL has just rendered his decision. Get this. Associated Press now reports Tom Brady has beaten the league, has beaten the NFL in the Deflategate controversy court matter. The judge nullifies the 4-game suspension that had been hanging over the Super Bowl MVP's head since last January. Brady wanted to beat this. And he has. And he has. And he pushed it to the limit. There was a lot of effort at settlements. We heard that he had sat down with Roger Goodell a week or two ago, and that despite the fact that they met for hours, there was no agreement between the two of them. He has said since the very beginning that he didn't know anything about this situation. And then the investigation that went on and on found what seemed to be some pretty incriminating things. However, when they came out with their final assessment, they said it was more likely than not that he knew what was going on, and that may not have been enough for this judge. The other big issue here is the one that we spoke about briefly earlier off camera with Chris Christie when he was here. It really may come down to the technicalities of the way that they brought this on him, because there were things that were part of this debate was that the Players Association wasn't given the proper warning about what the sentence would be, what the penalties would be, and that they didn't go through the procedure properly. The judge may lay it off on that. He may say this is a technicality. The way this was brought, this suspension was leveled, was just simply not the way that we do things. But we're going to find out what's on his mind. The light switch is on in America later tonight because football is back. College football kicks off later tonight. The NFL starts its season 1 week from today. Yep. And you also had not just the 4-game suspension, but you had $1 million fine against the team, and you had draft picks that were leveled against the team. We don't know about those yet. Don't know about aspects 2 and 3. But it always appeared from the beginning that the suspension was something Brady would not accept. That's what really bothered him the most, and that's why he went to battle this. Got on behalf of the Players Union. They argued before the judge. The judge said, you guys got to get together, figure out a resolution to this, and don't make me do this. But the league could not on behalf of Roger Goodell, and Brady could not on behalf of the Players Union, and that's what forced the arbitration on behalf of the judge. So now we are 7 days away from the kickoff of the NFL season, and Brady has beaten the rap. Yeah, there's such an interesting backstory here. I mean, when you talk about early on, it was thought that Roger Goodell might go easy on Tom Brady and the Patriots, that they were too cozy. And then when the suspension, 4-game suspension and the 2 draft picks and the $1 million fine came down, the opposite was the take on it, that he had been too tough in this situation, at least by some people's estimation. People who don't like the Patriots were very happy with the whole thing. That was the moment that he walked into camp earlier in the summer, beginning of August. I think that was maybe the end of July. Huge crowds, obviously a tremendous amount of support for him in Massachusetts through this whole thing. But, you know, this is a loss for Roger Goodell and a win for the Patriots. There's no other way to look at it. Remember, too, the piece of evidence was his cell phone, and we were told that the cell phone was destroyed. And Brady said, well, you told me I didn't have to keep the cell phone. That was his defense. And the league came back and said, well, what did you do with this? And Brady's side had always pressured the league to say, prove it. Show me the point of evidence that suggests that I told these guys to take air out of the football before that game against Indianapolis. And that was the missing piece. It would appear. Let's bring in Lou Dobbs, who we had on the set to talk about something else when this news broke. But, Lou, what do you think of it?
Well, Martha, Bill, this is a decision that I hoped would result from Deflategate. Richard Berman. You hoped? I absolutely hoped, because on the merits, this was a preposterous overreach on the part of the authorities that he has by the commissioner. The commissioner, under the collective bargaining agreement, has wide latitude on a host of areas, but there is nothing specific within that agreement that points to his power to actually suspend someone for an act like this, no matter how the commissioner objects to it, because the act was determined by the so-called Wells report. Ted Wells, the attorney that the NFL has previously brought in to investigate cases, domestic abuse, whatever it might be. But in this instance, the Wells report, Richard Berman said point blank in his courtroom that he didn't understand the Wells report. It didn't make sense. And when a federal judge of the standing of Judge Berman says it doesn't make sense, Ted Wells has a big problem. His second statement, which was also telling, the NFL kept trying to say that there was some competitive advantage. The judge, very reasonably and with great common sense, said, well, how is it then that quarterback Tom Brady in the first half, with the balls allegedly deflated, did not perform as well as he did in the second half when the balls were fully inflated? And those two issues, the NFL just simply could not overcome.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. The issue of basically saying it was more likely than not that he was aware. He had said that he was not aware that this was happening, that there was any intentional deflation of the footballs. And boy, it's a huge, huge win for Tom Brady and for the Patriots. There is no doubt about that. We're going to come back to this.
Holy cow.
We're going to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Thank you to Lou Dobbs for jumping in there with great stuff. Good to have you with us.
You know, McCallum, 1 week from today, September 10th, in New England, Foxborough, Massachusetts, the Patriots take the field against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
And Brady will be under center for the New England Patriots.